That's very concerning. That's very concerning to me that a lot of people don't actually want to participate in politics right now and get ready to go out and vote. So even though I banged myself up on the way in here just to make sure that I was on time for you guys, let's get on with this show. Now, if you're watching us online, I encourage you, make sure that you like, subscribe, and share. If you're online, if you're listening to us on here, make sure you tell your friends, your family, your neighbors, say, hey, tune in to 106.3 WRFZ every single Monday, 2:30 to 4 p.m. because there's a great show. It's called The Divide, and you got to hear it. And if you're online, make sure you share and subscribe. Sharing is the most awesome thing you can do because it gets it out to many more people. Now let's jump into it. If you are planning on not voting, go vote anyway. Go vote anyway. There is no reason that you should not be going out to vote. You might say, well, Marcus, why should I even bother voting? My vote doesn't count. Let me tell you how important your vote is. Your vote is very, very, very important because I'll tell you, there are certain elections where people win by 1 or 2 votes. And we're talking like major elections. You know, I was watching an election last year. I forget what town it was for up here in Western New York. And like the mayor won by like 12 votes or something crazy like that. And then if you live in the Western New York area, you might remember that, what's his name? Byron somebody, I can't remember his last name, but the current mayor of Buffalo was elected by a write-in campaign. Now, how did they do that? That is an amazing thing, a write-in campaign. Wow. Most people don't even know that you can write somebody in. Heck, most people don't know that you can vote for somebody that's not even on the same line that's in your party in the general election. That's a big part of voter education that we need. That's not getting out there, that a lot of people don't even talk about. Go ask take a sample size of about 5 of your closest friends, and then 5 more of the surrounding individuals that you deal with. Okay, I know that some of you don't have 5 close friends because people are the worst people. I understand. So just take a sample size of any given 10. You know, even if you just walk down the street and ask and say, hey, do you have to vote for the person that is in your party if you're registered to a party in the general election? Most people will tell you absolutely yes, you do. And that's absolutely not true. That's why we get many people that are not good people in these offices, and they never really go away because people keep voting party line. Now, I'm a constitutional conservative, okay, but I'm a registered Republican. If there are good Republicans, I want everybody to vote for them. If there is somebody that's on the conservative line, that's a good person that's not necessarily on the Republican line, I want people to vote for them. Whoever is going to hold up our constitutional values, I don't want you to vote for anybody that's not holding up constitutional values and principles. That's very important, especially as we see them continue to be eroded in our nation right now. So as we see this happening and this erosion due to politics and poor politics, we need to start getting active. And getting active is one of the most important things that you can do, because we know that getting active not only gets your vote counted, but it encourages other people to get active as well. And that's one of the big reasons why I do this show. And I try to do my best to encourage all of you to get out and learn about the people who are running in your area, learn about what's going on locally, politically, and learn about how you can get involved on the local level. And that is my biggest encouragement to you. Get involved locally. Even if you register as independent, like you don't have to register as a party. I keep trying to explain this to people. And people say, oh, well, if you want to vote in the primary, forget the primary, bro. Forget the primary. If you don't think that a party necessarily has the values that you have, register as independent. Again, I'm a constitutional conservative, and I prefer you register as Republicans, because if you're a constitutional conservative, or if you believe in the Constitution and it should be upheld, and the Bill of Rights should be upheld, I think that you might just be a Republican. look into the traditional values, philosophies, and principles of the Republican Party. But so many people right now don't know what the Republican Party stands on or stands for, because the Republican Party does not do a very good job at advertising that. All I see largely is I see the Republican Party saying, oh, well, we're not the Democrats. And I see the Democrats saying the same thing. Oh, we're not the Republicans, but the Democrats control all of the media and everything. And the Democrats say, oh, well, you know what? The Democrats believe that the Republicans are evil and they're attacking our democracy. I talked to somebody the other day. They said, oh, the Republicans are coming to take our democracy. What does that even mean? Tell me what that means. Explain that to me in words. Explain it to me like I'm 5 so I can understand what that means. They're coming to take our democracy. What does that mean? How? How are they possibly able to take our democracy when we're a constitutional republic? We are a constitutional republic, people. We have a Bill of Rights. We elect representatives to represent us. We are not a democracy where everybody votes directly for everything. That's not how that works. And until people start to understand how things work, we're going to continue with the same results, with the same people getting elected, with the same people that are elected telling us that they can't do nothing about nothing, even if it's well within their power. And I think I might have talked about this a couple of weeks ago, but I'm not quite sure. I'm running for state assembly, and the state assembly are the people who basically control the budget in the state. So if there's money that's not going where you want it to, that's them. Okay? If there's money and you can't see it where it is, or just seem to disappear, that's them. If it's laws that you don't like, that's them. Okay, if there's laws that you want to get passed or see if they can be amended or something like that, that's them. But a lot of times what they'll do is they'll advocate their authority and they'll say, oh, that's got nothing to do with me. Oh, I can't do anything. The best example I can give, and it's the most terrifying example. I was at a rally, memoriam, or whatever you want to call it, vigil, something like that. You figure out what you want to call it. A couple weeks ago, after a mass shooting, I didn't even really consider it a mass shooting. Like 5 people got shot, but I guess the definition of a mass shooting now is 3 people getting shot, you know? And I really consider a mass shooting as if you hitting the people that you intended to hit, if you hitting extra people, that's not a mass shooting, maybe a casualty event, but not a mass shooting. But this is how they play with words to try to make you give up your firearms and to tell everybody that they need to take your guns, when the people that are doing these shootings and stuff like that, nobody is a legal law-abiding citizen. They're all criminals. Criminals gonna criminal. And then you want to take legal law-abiding people's rights away. So my opponent, Demond Meeks, is one of those people who wants to take away your ability to own firearms. Okay, he's put in, since him being in office for years, he's put in multiple bills that restrict the ability for law-abiding citizens to actually be able to defend themselves. And he's put his name on a lot of stuff to let criminals run wild. More so than that, the most concerning part is he's made it so that they refuse to amend the laws like bail reform and raise the age that are allowing criminals to run crazy and run rampant all across our city, county, and state. And it's dreadfully serious. He got up there the other night at this vigil and he said, oh, well, I can't do anything. Let me rephrase it. Let me try to phrase it as close as possible is what he said. He said, oh, you can't do anything inside the system. You got to do it in the community. It's the community's responsibility. Excuse me? Let me explain to you. This guy just gave himself a 29% pay raise. He just voted for a 29% pay raise for the people in the state assembly. And he got the nerve to come out in front of all these grieving people and to say that he can't do anything about the laws. And he's the person that makes the laws and passes the laws. And then we had Senator Cooney there, who also makes the laws and passes the laws on the next level above state assembly and does the budget. And he said, oh, we need more resources. Well, we need more resources. But just a week before that shooting, you gave $30,000 to a drag queen, okay, to read books to kids. What are you doing? That's your priority, is drag queens over victims' families and over stopping the crime. Your priority is drag queens, bro? That's what you're all about? This is what these people are about. They're about playing in our face. And then they try to act like, oh, a goofa, gaha, hee hee, hoo ha in the community. oh, I'm in the community doing stuff. I don't want you in the community doing stuff. I'll tell you what I do want. I want you to do the daggone laws in Albany like you're supposed to be. I want you in Albany passing laws that are going to actually improve the quality of life for the people that live in our district, instead of doing like Senator Cooney said and focusing on people from outside of the area to get them to move inside the area when it's the people inside the area that voted for you. Man, listen. Listen. I might be a little roiled up right now because, as I said, I banged myself up real pretty good on my way trying to make sure that I was here on time for you guys, because you guys are the most important thing to me. You guys are so important to me because I know that you can make a difference. I believe in you. That's why I do this show. They don't pay me or anything like that to do this show. I do it because I care about you. I wish they would pay me, but they don't. But if you guys would like to make a sponsorship or a donation or something, shoot me an email, marcuswilliams222@outlook.com. That's marcuswilliams222@outlook.com. Or if you want to donate to my campaign, you can do that right online, Marcus4Rochester.com. That's Marcus4Rochester.com. And you can do it like that. It's very important that it's very important to me that I'm able to encourage you, that you can make a difference. And that's why I always encourage people, focus locally. Focus locally. Because locally is where you can make the biggest impact. The federal level, that maybe you can make a little bit of an impact, but locally is where it impacts you most and where it impacts you soonest at. That's where it is, okay? And when we focus local, that's when we can really make a difference. If we don't focus local, like right now, this whole presidential election and everything like that, they're trying to get you all involved in this presidential election so you don't look at the races for the House of Representatives, which are the direct representatives from your state to the Congress. Okay, they don't want you to focus on that, and they definitely don't want you to focus on your state elections. Like for me, I'm running for state assembly or for state senate. They don't want you to focus on those because those are the people that make the laws where you live, right? Like those are the people that immediately affect you with their laws, depending on what they set the stuff for taxes, like income tax. In New York State, we got crazy income tax. It's out of control. I'm supporting abolishing income tax completely. Hey, if it was up to me, we'd abolish federal income tax too. But in New York State, you got tax upon tax upon tax. You go to the gas station, they got gas tax. You go to just get a cigarette. I don't smoke cigarettes and I don't encourage it either. But you go get cigarettes, you got cigarettes tax. You go to buy marijuana, I don't smoke. But I'm telling you, the tax on the marijuana is like 30-40% on the marijuana. And then they wonder why the marijuana black market is exploding, causing all this extra violence and crime in the community and in the neighborhood. But we can't talk about that because they don't want you to talk about that. Because they want to divide your focus. They want you to focus on the president. They want you to focus on Donald Trump and Kamala Harris. They want you to completely forget about Joe Biden. They want you to completely forget about Joe Biden. Is he alive? Is he breathing? You've seen him? You even heard anything about anything that he's doing in office? We got all this crazy stuff going on. The U.S. just changed its nuclear stance on Russia, China, and North Korea, talking about, oh, we can use first strike capabilities of nuclear weapons on them. Hey, I'm not saying nothing. And Iran. I'm not saying nothing. Okay, I'm not saying I disagree with that. I'm not a big person on war myself. Okay, as somebody that considers themselves a warrior prince, I am all about the concept of war, but I would try to avoid it at all costs because I know the severity of the war and the severity of costs in life, okay, in environmental costs, okay, and to the future. Look at how many wounded soldiers that we have come home from battle now. And worse than that, look at how many mentally wounded soldiers that we have. I've got friends and I've got family that have had served. My family has a rich history of military service. And I've got a lot of family in the service still currently. But I know a lot of friends of mine that have come back from war and mentally it's been a very large impact, because you can't train for all the training in the world where if you've got a little kid that's running up on you with a bomb, and you got to put a little kid out of existence in this world because they're trying to blow you up. You understand what I'm saying? How can you live with that? You understand what I'm saying? And many people don't, because we don't have a warlike culture anymore. The what would you say? The common scenes that you would see in common warfare, the blood, the guts, the limbs, okay, stuff like that you would see, the grotesque nature of real combat, people just don't know and they can't associate with, because we're not taught that as children, as youth, that that's part of life. We're taught, oh, flowers and bunnies and stuff like that, but that's not how war is. And our citizens need to be taught what war really is and what war really looks like. That's why everybody's over there like, oh, Gaza, it's a genocide. It's not a genocide. Ain't nobody dying over there like that. A couple thousand people died over there does not a genocide make. Does not. It doesn't. No matter how you want to look at it, it's a massive displacement. And because you don't want to talk about the fact that it's a massive displacement and not a genocide, the people over there that need help, that need housing, don't get it, because you out here running your mouth talking about it's a genocide when really it's a massive displacement. And then it's very interesting that all of these people that are coming from all these war-torn countries that are Muslim end up in Western European nations and in the United States when their own Muslim countries don't want them. Why is that? The other Muslim nations won't take these people. Neither should we. Neither should we, because we know that when you try to get these people to come into your country, that they don't want to integrate. They have no desire to integrate. They just want to come in and they want to force their ideals and thoughts processes on the culture of where it is. And right now, for decades, the people that are in power in the academic system, in the news media and stuff like that have been subverting the traditional culture of the United States of America to soften it continuously. And it looks like something that you would see out of the plan book of the Nazis or out of the plan book of the communists to overthrow the U.S. internally. And that's what we're experiencing right now. But the education system is so jacked up that people don't even know about it. You know, today is the day of the 60th, I believe it's the 60th. Don't quote me on the number of years, but I believe it's the 60th celebration of the liberation of Paris from the Nazis. You understand? And maybe it's 80 years. I don't remember. My counting, let me see. Maybe it's 80 years, okay? But it's neither here nor there. But the point of the matter is we've got this great rise in socialism, right? The Nazis were socialists, right? Nazi stands for National Socialist Workers Party. Can we have that conversation? Absolutely not. They don't want you to have that conversation. They don't want you to know that. That's why they tried to pull all of the videos and stuff of Hitler and Goebbels, or however you pronounce his name, Goebbels, that guy. That guy was a master manipulator and a cunning speechwriter. And if you listen to the speeches that he gave and the propaganda that they got created, you'd start to wonder, say, hold on now. A lot of that stuff that the Nazis were talking are exactly the things that the Democrats are talking right now. You know, they got this whole joy, Kamala's like, it's all about joy. What joy? People aren't able to afford their rent or afford to feed their family. I was just talking to a young lady a couple of minutes ago, not too long, that works at a local business that's a friend of mine. And she was telling me, you know, she's got to take this other job and stuff too, because she just can't afford to live anymore. And that's terrible. And they're talking about joy. What joy? What joy? You've destroyed our economy. You have sent prices through the roof. You have told us that inflation is good. Inflation isn't good. Inflation increases the cost of everything. So that inflation is the silent tax on the working class and those in poverty. And they got the nerve to talk about joy. We got homeless people out in the street in droves. We got more homeless people now than ever. You look at California, where Kamala Harris is from, $24 billion over 3 years that they spent to solve the homeless crisis. They ain't solved nothing yet. They got more homeless people now more than ever. Where did $24 billion go? Don't nobody know. And it's the same thing with our local projects. I remember one year, a couple years ago, maybe about 5-10 years ago, They had a $32 million study that they put together in Rochester. Okay, they had some place out of somewhere else do the study. $32 million on why people are in poverty. It's so disgusting, it makes you want to spit. But I say it like this, $32 million to tell you why poor people are poor? I could have told you for 32. Shoot, I'd have done it for a couple of thousand. You ain't had to, you know what I'm saying? 32 million. Listen. It's just like how they're doing right now with this whole reparations thing for New York State. $23 million for a what do you even call it? I don't even know, a panel to discuss about the possibility of considering reparations. Are you stupid? Are you stupid? $23 million? That's only going in your pockets. Okay, ain't no $23 million to talk about reparations. Man, don't play in my face with my own tax money. It's frustrating. And back to the Kamala Harris thing with the joy, you know, it's joy through strength is a Nazi leisure propaganda thing. That's what it is. The Nazi leisure part of the party, you know, where they want to train people to go be strong and lift and pursue athletics and stuff like that, so that they be more fit, so that they be able to be more ready to be in combat, right? Like their whole slogan was joy through strength. Are you serious? And that's what they're trying to push now in the Democrat Party. Like, are we even listening? They're all Nazis. They're Nazis. Now they're talking about freedom and go USA and stuff. And the Democrats hate the USA and they hate freedom. They don't want you to be able to talk freely about anything, especially if you disagree with them. They don't want to hear nothing that you got to say, even a little bit. Not even a little bit. And it's very serious. And they'll tell you, matter of fact, Tom Walls said it the other day. He said, if you say something that goes against the government narrative, I don't want you to be able to say it. I don't think you should be able to say it. If you say something against what we believe is our democracy, you shouldn't be able to say it. If you say misinformation or disinformation or something hateful, that's not freedom of speech. Where are you reading the Constitution? You're not reading the Constitution. You done made some stuff up. Okay, that's not how the Constitution reads. Okay, if freedom of speech hurts your feelings, you just got hurt feelings. That's it. That's on you. Maybe stop being so soft. If somebody hurts your feelings or they say something that you feel is hateful or whatever, that's on you. Because I guarantee you, almost everybody that you say, somebody said, oh, somebody said something that was hateful to me. Who determines what hateful is? You? Yourself? Maybe they don't think it's hateful. Maybe it's not hateful at all, right? Like most of these things that they say and they label as hate isn't even hate. I remember when I saw some years ago, they started to say that everything was racist, everything is racist. I'm like, hold on, I'm a black man. I've been black all my life. My family is all black. We're all black Americans. Okay, we're descendants from Aboriginal people of the Americas, of Native Americans, and some are descendants of slavery. So I'm all the way American, and I'm all the way black. And you sitting up here telling me, a black man, that stuff is racist, and you white people on the news is telling me what racist is when I'm black, and I'm looking at you like, that's not even racist. How can you say that? And now we got all these youths that are so brainwashed. They're like, oh, you can't say that. You got to be soft on people's feelings and emotions. But if I disagree with you, oh, no, you can't say what you want. What? You say crazy stuff all the time. You say crazy stuff all the time. Okay, I've seen all these crazy people out there talking about they wish death on Trump. Are you serious, bro? Are you serious? That's not hate speech. They're not getting locked up. We're not locking people up for that. Talking about, oh, if it was me, I wouldn't have missed. You're not locking people up for that. That's not hate speech. You understand? It's very one-sided. It's very, very one-sided, but we can't talk about it because they don't want you to talk about it. They don't want you to talk about it at all. And it's ever, ever, ever so serious. You know, people get on me sometimes, and I stay on this. I stick to this. I don't care what nobody said. The Nazis won World War II. The U.S. in Operation Paperclip and 15 other operations, well, really it's about 3 or 4 other ones that I know about, and some other ones to Eastern Europe and stuff like what I guess that's technically Western East for us, but West for them. Brought them all in over there. Then they went to Argentina, Chile, Brazil, and stuff like that, and South Africa. Okay, and now the European Union is all one country, kind of all unified, just the way that the Nazis wanted. The same propaganda that we saw during Nazism is being preached from the Democratic Party right now. And you gonna tell me that the Nazis didn't win? They're eradicating Black Americans. There is open genocide. You want to talk about genocide? Millions of Black babies, unborn babies, were killed, eradicated. Okay, because they pushed this propaganda about, oh, delete your babies, but we're gonna bring in all these illegal aliens with their babies, but they want you to get rid of Black babies. Explain it to me like I'm 5. Explain it to me. Come on now. Don't take a piss and tell me it's raining. This is serious, y'all. It's so disgusting it makes you want to spit, man. I don't care what anybody says. The communists in 1948, there was a document that was read into Congress, and it was about the communist plan to take over the United States from the inside. Now, I know a lot of people don't know about this in America, but there were a lot of Nazi sympathizers before, and I wouldn't even say sympathizers, right? Supporters is a better word. Supporters in the United States before the end of the war and before they declared war on us. Okay, I guess we could thank Japan for that. However, I can't be mad at Japan. We got real good get back at Japan over the last couple of decades. But I do want America to be the America that the Japanese think that we are. Tough as nails, blow stuff up, shoot stuff up, just wholly hardcore. I wish we were that type of America now, but we've become so soft, and it's ridiculous. America's soft like a feather right now. You know, they say that China's a paper tiger. The U.S. is a paper tiger. And I love our military, and I support my country to my last breath. But the fact of the matter is we've become so soft as a people, you know, that we can't even talk about it. You know, they promote all this, oh, everybody wins, everybody gets a trophy, blah, 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 da, 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 da. And it's ridiculous because all it does is weaken our country, weaken the resolve of our youth. And somebody today, I was talking to them, and they were like, it's crazy to me that none of the youth want to join the military because of all of these people who made sacrifices for them, and they won't stand up for their country. I gotta be honest. I can't blame them for not wanting to go into the military. Have you seen the state of the people who send out our military right now? We got what did we gain militarily in the last couple of decades for the United States as a whole? You know, the soldiers can't take spoils of war. They can't take any pillage, you know, and they want to say, oh, well, it's against the Geneva Convention. I don't give a flying monkey's uncle what it is against or whatever. We're not a signee of the International War Crimes Court, so that can, okay? If our soldiers are fighting and dying and risking life and limb, they deserve not only to take territory in those countries, they deserve to take spoils of war, whatever they can get their hands on and bring back and send back. They deserve it all, okay? You know, somebody was telling me the other day, they said that they had a good idea. They said that if soldiers go to war, that they should get stock in, and for every deployment that they get, they should get stock in different military companies like Lockheed Martin and Raytheon and stuff, and Boeing and stuff like that. I said, you know, that's not a bad idea. Halliburton and stuff like that. That's not a bad idea, because only people who really benefit from all of these deployments and stuff are these massive, huge companies. Really, they're sending the U.S. troops over there to defend the interests of these huge multinational companies. Okay, that money isn't getting back to the troops. That money isn't getting back to the public. What'd you get from Iraq? You get any gold? All of that gold's still missing from Iraq. Where's Saddam Hussein's gold? Where's it at? Where'd it go? Where'd it go? Anybody get any? You know, I didn't get none. I got family that served there. They didn't get none of his gold. Where'd the gold go? Okay, what about Libya? Where'd his gold go? My man had the most gold reserves in the world. Where'd his gold go? Where'd the gold at? It's clearly not there. What about all the profits from the oil? Where did the profits from the oil go? Huh? Where did the profits from the oil in Iraq go? How about the profits from the oil in Libya? Huh? Where'd it go? We gonna talk about that? And that doesn't even get into other issues where we've expended soldiers all throughout the African continent. Don't even get me started on the rest of that. Don't get me started on stuff that we've done in Asia. Don't get me started on South and Central America. Okay? I don't know how we ever let Nicaragua go. No offense to anybody from Nicaragua, but we should have took over Nicaragua, just replacing what's his name, Noriega. Okay, that was stupid. We gave the Panama Canal back. Now the Chinese control the Panama Canal. That was stupid. We should have never gave Panama back. That was stupid. That was poor policy. And then people say, oh, well, imperialism is wrong. Shut up. Shut up your face. Imperialism is wrong. For who? For the losers, not for the victors. Okay, you want to talk about imperialism? The U.S. rebelled against Imperial England, right? Then we went on to conquer many lands and stuff like that. Okay, here in America, previous to that, we had many different Native American nations, right? They warred on each other, taking other people's territory and stuff. Is that not imperialism? We had whole empires here that conquered their other people. The Mayans, the Incans, the Aztecs, the Chippewa, the Iroquois, and other people in different affiliations and other places that we don't even know because the what do you call them? The Smithsonian stuff has erased them from the annals of our history, which is a whole another conversation for a whole separate thing. I got beef with the Smithsonian and stuff too for erasing America history. Okay, that doesn't even go to talk about African history and stuff like that. It's a whole separate conversation. But it's really, really real and real serious what's going on right now. But we can't have these conversations because they don't want us to have these conversations. And if you're watching us right now online, make sure you like, share, subscribe. Make sure you're sharing. Make sure you're sharing. If you can hear my voice, if you can hear my voice now, share it. Share it right now. Right now. No lines, no waiting. Go share it. Like, subscribe, and share. And if you're listening to us on the radio on WRFZ 106.3, make sure you tell your friends, family, and even your enemies. Tune in Mondays, 2:30 to 4 p.m. and listen to The Divide with Marcus C. Williams. We are here. We are in the house. We are talking about important things that you might not hear discussed anywhere else. Tune in. Now, back to the rest of the show. As we are moving forward here, and we're talking about this imperialism, right? People will say imperialism is bad. I'd like you to show me one of the major nations that hasn't been imperial. Let me rephrase that. I'd like you to show me any modern nation that isn't an imperial nation and hasn't been. Well, what do you define as imperial nation, right? Taking of territory. All of these nations have taken other people's territory. There isn't, I don't think, one nation that's been a nation since the beginning of time that hasn't taken somebody else's territory or had their territory taken. So all of these countries, all of these nations, all of everybody has always been, well, imperialistic, colonizers, every single one of them. So when you tell me that, oh, you're against colonization and you're against this and you're against that, show it to me. All of these people out here as a Native American, as a First Nations person, okay, I like First Nations more than I like Native American a little bit sometimes. It just sounds cooler. I don't know what about it is. But that's what they call Native Americans in Canada, right? Not here in the U.S. But I really like First Nations. I like that a lot. But technically, we're not even Native American. We're American Indian. All of our treaties say American Indian. Okay, and I take that. I like that a lot. Because oftentimes you'll hear me say that I'm feather, not red dot. And Kamala, she's red dot, not feather. Okay, that's a whole separate conversation. I'm not getting into that part yet. But we see all of these serious issues and stuff going on right now because people are like, oh, I don't like this or I don't like that. You don't know what you like and what you don't like on scale for you as an individual, but now you're forcing your beliefs on somebody else. And I'm like, if you understand that that's what you're doing, I hear you. But if you try to act like, oh, you're not doing that, that's a bold-faced lie. And the leftists like to do that all the time. They're like, oh, well, I'm not trying to force it on anybody, but you are. But you are. All of the TV shows are alphabetized. I can't turn on not half of no channel without it got some trans, non-binary dog person on the TV. Why? Why? It's outrageous because it's overrepresented. We're talking about 2-3% of our nation. 2-3% of our nation. We still can't even get black people represented well on the television. And you got all these alphabetizers on there. And then they try to make it like the alphabet problem is the problem of the blacks. It ain't. It ain't. I don't know if I talked about this on the show before or not, but it's so disgusting it makes me want to spit, man. I don't know if I talked about this on the show before or not, but about a week ago, they tried to say that all of the L, the G, and the B are now trans. That there is no more lesbian, gay, or bisexual. All of those are subsections of trans. I told y'all and I warned y'all before that they're trying to get rid of gender completely and sex completely. People don't want to listen. People don't want to have those serious discussions because they want to feel all good because they've been told that they should feel good about this and feel good about that. When really they're just trying to pump in and propagate sin and evil and depravity and the erosion of the fabric of our society and push for depopulation. You think that this stuff is about being gay? You think that this stuff is about being trans? Absolutely not now, nor has it really ever been. It's always been a way to subvert the family in the United States of America. And now they're exporting it to other countries. It's always been about population control. This has never been about gay rights or people caring if somebody's gay. It's about encouraging people to look at this debauchery and this type of what do you call it? What's the word? I can't remember the word. Not what is it? Anyway, I don't remember the word. I'll think of it in a minute. But this type of debauchery and depravity as being something that's normal and natural. And it's not normal, nor is it natural. That's why it's expanding the way that it is. And people will say, oh, well, I don't want the chemicals in the water that are turning the frogs gay, like atrazine. You know, like these drugs that are being pumped into the kids and the youth, because all of the women now are on these birth control pills, and the birth control gets into the water, and you drink the water. So now you're creating all this extra estrogen, and now you got all these soy boys running around, and now they're telling you not to eat meat. So now you're even more feminine than you were before. And then they're telling you that being gay is okay. So now you're like, well, maybe I feel like a girl today, and da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Also, happy National Women's Equality Day. Okay, while we're at it. I'll save that for a little later. But with all of this alphabetizing and stuff like that, it's never, ever been about being gay or not being gay or equal rights or any of that. It's always been about eroding the family because they don't want you to have kids. That's why we're struggling with our population right now. The world is facing a depopulation crisis, and we're on the verge of extinction, according to the scientists. If you believe the science, right? Trust the science. Trust it when it's in when it's in your favor, I guess, right? When it says something else, you don't want it. But y'all want all of these illegal aliens to come in here with their kids, but you want Americans to delete their babies. You make it make sense to me. Out here propagating, saying, oh, well, delete your babies, oh, get a vasectomy and all of this stuff. You know, one thing I haven't heard them say, snatch out your ovaries, get a hysterectomy. I haven't heard them say that yet. You know why they're not saying that? Because they prefer that you get abortion than you get a hysterectomy, because they can make money off of the baby's body parts and the baby's cells, because they can sell them to companies and they can get paid for it because the companies are going to do experiments and stuff on it, because that's what they do. This isn't hidden secret information. Like, I'm not saying anything that isn't widely available and widely known. It's just that they don't talk about it. You can go look it up. Go look it up. I often tell people, don't believe me because I'm saying it. Believe me because I'm telling you. There's a difference. I'm not just saying it just because. I'm telling you. And that's very important. A very important distinction. It's so frustrating. I encourage you all. It's hot outside. Please stay hydrated. I'm going to take a sip of this water right now. because I am thirsty and it is quite hot in here. They still didn't fix the air conditioning. Make sure that you drink water and stay hydrated. Not the tap water though, because that's filled with atrazine and all types of other drugs that's killing the people and destroying their ability to have fertility and stuff like that. But then we look at what's in the food and everything like that. Then that's a whole nother conversation about all the chemicals and stuff that they spray on the food, put in the food, and it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. I look at it, we go back to talking about the issue of the U.S. changing its nuclear doctrine and its ability to be willing to use first strike capabilities against Russia, China, Iran, and North Korea. And then China came out, like, because that happened last week. China came out a few days ago, and they were like, "Oh, that's mean. You can't do that because you're bigger and you're badder than us. So you can't do that." Why not? Why not? China be over in the Philippines messing with them. China be over in the waters in Vietnam messing with them. China be messing up their boats. They be taking their land. They be messing with Japan and all of that, taking all of these people's stuff. And they be like, "Oh, well, no, it's okay. It's okay. Everything is perfectly fine." Everything is not perfectly fine. Why would you possibly think that everything is fine? Nothing is fine with what China's doing over there. And then if you look what China's done in Jamaica, can we talk about how China has basically colonized all of Jamaica, kicking the Jamaicans out of their area? They own all of the roads in Jamaica now. The Chinese do. Go look it up. Like, I can't make this stuff up. Ask somebody from Jamaica. Like, this is real, true stuff. And we can't even talk about it. And this is a very, 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 very serious issue. And for me, it's something that people don't really look at. If we look at what's going on in Nicaragua right now with China, if we look at what's going on in Mexico with China right now, it's a very, very serious thing. But nobody's willing to look at it because people are so focused on their day-to-day travails, because that's what they want you to be focused on. They don't want you to be focused on anything else in the world, because perish the thought that you actually might know what's going on in the world. You know, because then you might be able to make better decisions long term. You might be able to select better candidates who are running for office. You might be able to do a lot of things that you can't do now because they try to, I guess you would say, control the way you think and quarantine the way you think. You can only think within inside these parameters. And you'll see it expressed by the different use of language that they use to form different sentence structures and different propaganda pieces. Again, going back to this whole new framework of joy. What is there to be joyous about? What? Explain it to me. Aside from being grateful to God for the glory of his grace on our lives every day that he let us arise to see another day. Aside from that, what is there to be joyous about? These elites that are in power are continuing to confiscate any level of wealth or any level of property that you have. They want to completely eviscerate private property ownership. They don't want you to be able to defend yourself. They don't want you to be able to express your First Amendment rights, like freedom of religion. If you're Christian, they don't want you to be able to preach the gospel. They don't want you to be able to redress your grievances with your government. They don't want you to be able to go and talk at meetings and stuff like this, to actually engage with your elected officials that are supposed to represent you. They don't want any of that. They don't want you to be able to go out in the public spaces and say, "Hey, you know, I question what the government is doing." They don't want that. They want to silence you. They are stripping you actively of your First Amendment, of your Second Amendment. Again, they don't want you to be able to bear arms, because they know that when they start to clamp down, if you decide, "Hey, I'm not with it," that you might be able to put two in them, and they don't want you to have such an ability. And anywhere that we look throughout history, when they have confiscated weapons, there has been massive death. We look at the Pol Pot regime in the Khmer Rouge over there. We look at the communist takeover in the Cultural Revolution. We look at what you call it? I don't remember what the thing was called over there in Vietnam and Thailand. And well, Thailand was the killing fields in the Khmer Rouge and all that. But you know what I'm saying? Like all of those countries over there in South Asia that ended up trying to be communist for a little while, that didn't really work out. I think the only one that's left over there that's still communist is actually outside of China, right? And is Vietnam. I think that's about it over there. But all of the African nations that tried that, Okay, all of that went terrible. Saying you start giving up your arms and stop resisting, they just railroad you and they kill all your people off. Millions and millions of people have died. Millions have died because they gave up their weapons because the government's like, oh, give up your weapons. We're going to treat you good. Is the government treating you good right now? Is the government really treating you good? I'd like to know. If somebody believes that the government is treating you good and you're watching us online, please leave a comment online. Tell me that the government is treating us good. Tell me that they're not trying to confine and control our food supply, that they're not out here telling you that you should eat less meat, that they're not pushing hundreds of thousands of farmers out of business by their policies that they're putting in because they want to control the food subs. Okay, tell me that Kamala Harris didn't just get up the other day on the TV and say that she wants to put in government price controls, which is something that is a Soviet style of communism. Hello, hello. Somebody tell me that the government is treating you good. Tell me, show me. Okay, maybe the 10 fairy princesses that were boys that now say that they're girls because the government decided that they were going to pay for their gender transition. Maybe you feel like the government's treating you well. But how's your pocketbook look anyway? They still taking money out your pocketbook regardless. They might have gave you all these surgeries, but you still can't afford to live because everything's so daggone expensive. Come on now. Tell the truth, shame the devil. Because all that this is depravity, deviance, and pure evil. That's what we're experiencing right now. We're experiencing evil being incepted into every fabric of our society, and then them trying to tell us that evil is good. I feel like the Bible says something about that. That they would call, at one point, you will come to a point where they call evil good and good evil. And that's what we're seeing right now. And they'll be mad at you if you call evil out. You can't even say, no, that's not good, or no, I don't agree with that, and that's evil. Tell me who the government is treating good. The illegal aliens, because they're giving them $13,000 a month to live here? They giving you $13,000? They ain't giving me $13,000. My own city pays $10,000 to anybody that's going to move here for a job. I've owned multiple businesses here, employed multiple people here, okay? Tens of people here, okay? Not hundreds, but about 100 people at one time that I've employed before. And these people, and it's crazy, they ain't never give me no money in this city. Where my money at? I want my $10,000 for myself. I've worked here, I've lived here my whole life pretty much. Where's my $10,000? Huh? And that's just my city trying to move other people in here. That ain't talking about the money that the state is giving these illegal immigrants, illegal aliens, excuse my language. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to call them immigrants. They're not immigrants, they're aliens. An immigrant is somebody that actually goes through the appropriate process to try to get into the country. And a migrant is not what these people are, because migrant means that they're moving from inside the country to another part inside the country already. That's not what we're experiencing. These are illegal aliens. They're giving them $13,000 and stuff a month. Now in California, they're giving them zero down interest loans and $30,000 to buying a house. $30,000, bro. The housing crisis right now. Can you afford to buy a house right now where you live? Can you? Would you like $30,000 to help buy yourself a home? Because maybe you're going to have to go through the southern border and come back in illegally and say, no, it's no speaking of English, okay, to get this $30,000 in zero down interest. Do they not act like they know that the homeless crisis is ballooned, as we talked about earlier in California? Now they're trying to do the same thing in New York. They already did a similar thing in Maine. They did a similar thing in Maine. They built all of these new, beautiful new houses and stuff, and they're only for illegal aliens. Only. What about American citizens? What do we get? The shaft is what we get. And it's a rugged shaft with barbs on it, and it's rusted. And they ain't even give you no lubricant. Okay? It's ridiculous and disgusting. Makes me want to spit. But this is what we're facing as actual American citizens. These people are stripping us of our rights. I didn't even get into the 3rd or 4th Amendments. Don't even get me started, you know, and they don't even get me started on the 5th Amendment and stuff like that, because, you know, they got a lot of these things which you can only have if you're one of those special people in those groups, because illegal search and seizure continues to happen and continues to go on. We're going to talk about that. Now they're talking about they're going to make it so that the people, that the National Guard and stuff can come in your house what do you call it? House themselves. There's a word, it's in the Constitution. I forget the word that they use. But they can house themselves inside your property. The government can just take your property for their own personal use. That's why I'm not a fan of, what do they call it? Eminent domain. Absolutely not. The government should not be able to take your stuff from you. It's your stuff. You deserve it. You own it. That's it. Government been too way wide. And we need to stand up. And we need to get active. And we need to start on the local level. Because this whole confusion with the president and the president nonsense, okay, that's a distraction from local politics on the state level where the laws are made that are going to impact and affect you every single day. Every single day. Most sheriffs are elected. That's an important role for people to have. We need to be making sure that we get constitutional sheriffs in these sheriff's positions. These local elected officials, we need to be making sure that the city and town council members are people who actually believe in the Constitution, who actually believe in serving the people instead of serving themselves and private interests. Okay, we need to make sure that these people that are running for a state assembly or state house, depending on where you are, state representative, whatever you call it, where you are, depending on what state you're in, state senate, stuff like that. We need to be making sure that these people are willing to uphold our state constitutions and our federal constitutions, because they're slowly eroding and chipping away at them. It's Women's Equality Day, right? They got this proposition in New York State right now. I think we talked about it on the show before. It's called Prop 1, okay? And they're working on putting it on the back of the ballot this year. I'm going to encourage you to vote no, and I'm going to tell you why. It's because in that, the way that it's written, like the ERA was a massive thing, right? A massive win for women's rights and equality and all of this and all of that, right? Well, now they're stripping women of that with this new thing. And they're trying to say that it's the ERA, but it's not. We already have an Equal Rights Amendment. It protects on sex, creed, all of these other things and everything. But now they're trying to add all of these extra things in there, okay? Okay, you can't discriminate on gender identity. I don't even know what a gender identity is. How am I supposed to know what you identify as? Especially with all these non-binary, trans, poly-binary people that they shift what their gender is. I'm gender fluid. So yesterday you were a bird, today you're a little boy, but you look like a grown woman in her 60s. I don't know. I don't know what your gender is. If I call you an Afarian yesterday, and now today you're talking about that you're a 5-year-old boy and you want your pamper change, and I say that I call you what you said that you were called yesterday, and now you're something different before. Now I can't say that. I don't know. Even if I wanted to be supportive, I can't be supportive because you try to change the rules every second that you get a chance. It's crazy out here. And then forgive me if I have a conception that's different than somebody else's thoughts process or whatever. If you introduce yourself as Tim, and I've known you for 30 years and your name is Tim, okay, and now you're talking about your Susie, I'm not playing them games with you, Tim. Okay, you're not Susie. Tim, okay, there is no Tim. I just want to put that out there. There's no real person named Tim. I'm not being critical of a real person. Okay, but I'm using that as an example. You know, like that's what's not happening. You know, I have a friend, right? He introduced he introduced himself to me as Alejandro, right? That's his name. And then he was like, you know, he likes people to call him Alex. So he introduces himself to other people as Alex. Well, I don't know you as Alex. I know you as Alejandro. You introduce yourself to me as Alejandro. You're Alejandro. You're not Alex. And that was before the song "Don't Call Me Alejandro." Whoever sings that song, I can't remember who sings that song. Some famous lady, whatever. But anyway, the fact of the matter is this new Prop 1 strips women of their rights and of their spaces. Okay, it erodes the ability for women to have their own special sports team. It erodes the ability of women to have their own private bathroom facilities because it allows men or people that identify as females that are men in women's spaces and in women's places. Could you imagine a man that is a 42-year-old man with a full beard, okay, and a dress on, okay, that's more hairy than a French person in a bathroom with your 4-year-old daughter in the park and you didn't know he was in there? Would you feel comfortable? Come on now, what are we really doing? Are we being serious here? And there's more things that Prop 1 does aside eviscerate women's sports and make it so men can play in women's sports and stuff like that. It's terrible. But people are out here propagating it like, oh, it's good, it's good, it's good. What is it good for? Nobody. Nobody. How the song go? What is it good for? Absolutely nothing. Say it again. Okay, ain't nothing but an omen for the Undertaker. Okay, that's all that it is. All that it is setting us up for very bad stuff. Okay, that's what this crazy Prop 1 is. And don't even get me on how the part that it has in there where basically, essentially, that anybody of any age range could consent to anything. That means that your 11-year-old daughter could consent to intercourse with a 45-year-old man. Okay? That means that your 12-year-old son could consent to intercourse with a 62-year-old man. Okay? Are we having those conversations? That means all of these female teachers that out here are catching cases for having sex with these little boys now, it would be okay. That would be okay. Because you can't discriminate on age anymore. But we have laws that discriminate on age, like you can't smoke, right? I don't know what it is now. Maybe it's 25 now. You can't smoke till you're 25 or something like that now. Alcohol, you can't drink till you're 21. Driver's license, you can't get till, I think it's 18. Maybe that's 21 too now, whatever they're trying to change it to. They keep doing weird stuff. Okay? You got all of these things. And all of that, essentially, you wouldn't be able to have any of those things. You know? They got it where you aren't able to have a weapon on a firearm until you're 21 now in New York State. So that wouldn't be there either. Not that me personally, I'm a very strong Second Amendment advocate, okay? So I think that you should teach your children respect for firearms and other weapons, bladed, dull, and otherwise, very early on, so that they know not only how to defend themselves, but how to operate around those weapons in case they ever encounter them, okay? They're important. It's also important if somebody come into your house and try to mess with your child, if you're not able to defend them, or Lord forbid something happens to you, they need to be able to defend themselves. I know y'all out here seeing how many kids get snatched up and go missing every day. Okay, but we can't talk about that either. And essentially, this will make it legal because they can say, oh, well, the child wanted to come with me. But you groomed them to want to go with you, though. But you've been teaching them since they was like 8 that they should come with you, and now you don't kidnap them essentially when they're 11. But it's okay because you can't discriminate and it was of their own free will. That's what this stuff opens the door for. We've already got it in New York State where if you're 12 or older, you can have basically any type of medical procedure done. I bet you didn't know that without your parents knowing. You can have, let's say, you want to take hormones. You can take hormone blockers, or you can take hormones. You don't have to tell your parents unless something goes wrong, and now your parents are going to be held responsible for that if they don't even know. Let's say you want to do genital mutilation on yourself, okay? Let's say you want to change your gender. Fingers, I'm using quote fingers if you're on the radio because there ain't none of that. You can't really change your gender, okay? You want to cut off a healthy limb or mutilate a part of your body to try to make you feel like you're some other gender, okay? You could do that if you're 12 in New York State. You don't have to tell your parents. And with this law, the way that the law is written, it's not even a law, people. If you listen, it's not even a law. It's a constitutional amendment. That makes it worse because there's no recourse if it's a constitutional amendment. That's very, very serious. So that means that your child now, it used to be 12, now they can do it at any age. Now, I don't know about you, but I don't think a 5-year-old is going to be able to make the best life decisions. That's just me. That's just me. I don't think a 12-year-old is going to make the best life decisions, but that's also just me. Could a 12-year-old make great life decisions? I'm sure they could, absolutely, right? Like you used to be an adult when you were 13. You know, we still have bar mitzvahs and bach mitzvahs right now. And when you're 12 or 13, you're a man, you're a woman, whatever the case is. You know, we still got quinceañeras. Okay, you're a woman when you're 15. You know what I'm saying? So we still got those. But you're not anymore, though. You know why? Because of the schooling system and this whole concept of let a kid be a kid, let a child be a child, keep a child in a child's place. So they're not educating them properly to be able to have a cognitive ability of critical thinking, to have a good idea and sense of what's wrong and what's right and how they should be able to forward for the future. Okay, they've stolen that from these generations. That's why if you go and you look at, like, even in Europe, right? Even in Eastern Europe, you got a 13-year-old there is more of a man than 21-year-olds over here. You go to the Middle East, a 13-year-old there is more of a man than a 21-year-old man here. Some more than 36-year-old women and men, you know, and it's so disgusting. It makes you want to spit. It's frustrating because this is what's being done. They're being purposefully minimized and made small-minded so that they're not able to conceptualize what is right and what is wrong. So now you're making it so you can't discriminate on gender, and you can't discriminate on age, and people can make all types of decisions at any age range, but they don't have the mental capacity to do that because you've kept them from that. That is the largest evil that you could put upon somebody, from my point of view, because you purposefully held them back so you could do bad things to them. You didn't even give them a chance, and that's just pure evil, pure evil. So I encourage you to vote no. And there's a whole bunch of other things that Prop 1 opens the door and opens the gate for too. Like it opens the gate for you not to be able to speak publicly about our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, or about our Father in heaven. Because if somebody says, "Oh, you offended them," then you're going to jail. In England right now, they've arrested in the last couple of weeks 3 or 4 people for praying in their heads outside in public. For praying in their heads. I pray over all my food all the time. If you got to take me to jail for praying outside publicly, out loud, or in my head, it is what it is. I'm not recounting my God and giving him up, okay? Lord bless. Mwah. Okay, our Father in heaven above. I'm not giving up Jesus Christ either, okay? I'm not. It's not about to happen. Jesus laid out the path for us to get closer to our Heavenly Father so that we can have a chance for salvation and we wouldn't have to be stuck with eternal damnation, that we can have everlasting eternal life if we believe on Jesus and his teaching, that he died for us and he rose again after 3 days so that he can lead the way and clear the path for our sins to be forgiven with the Lord our Father in heaven so that we can have eternal life. And I encourage you, even if you're not Christian, read your Bible, okay? And if you don't have a Bible, go to a church. They should give you a Bible for free. If they don't give you a Bible for free, they ain't a good church. I said what I said, okay? Because I give you my Bible if I didn't have one to give, okay? And it's very important, especially if you're one of them falling off Christians. I encourage you, go read First Thessalonians and First and Second Thessalonians and First and Second Corinthians, because that'll really tell you what time it is. Because I know a lot of Christians have fallen off, but those books right there really go back over the real stuff that we deal with every day as Christians in society, and why it's difficult to be good Christians, because we struggle with the flesh every day. But there are so many people out there that don't even realize that or know that, because they haven't read the Bible. They haven't read it for themselves. They might even just have heard it from somebody else or have heard it from the church, and the church don't preach it right. And people will say, "Oh, well, I'm not sure because it can be interpreted this way. This person interpreted it that way." No, it ain't no interpretation. What's the interpretation? The Bible, it's in chapters and books and verses. You understand what I'm saying? The verse is it exists in the context. I'm going to steal that from Kamala for a minute, right? It exists in the context. You got to exist in the context of the context. So what it is the context of the whole book, right? Like if I'm saying First Thessalonians, for instance, it needs to be in the context of the First Thessalonian text, right? And then it's broken down into chapters, which most of the original manuscripts weren't broken down into chapters. So you really have to understand the whole context of what's going on there. And it's there if you read it. That's why I'm not very keen on certain churches just taking and cherry picking verses. I'm not very big about that. When I hear somebody read one verse, I want to read the whole chapter to see if I can get the context of what's going on. Because I don't know. I don't know what I don't know, right? Unless I'm very familiar with that book. I mean, shoot, this is six books. I mean, and then that's including if you don't include like Maccabees and other parts if you're Catholic or whatever the case is. Okay. All the other, what they got, 73 books, something like that. I don't even remember. Why? 84? I don't know. I'm making up numbers now. Excuse me, my Catholic brethren. I can't remember. That's on me. Okay. But We don't have the Apocrypha in Protestant Bibles anymore. Okay, we haven't since like the first writing of King James. Like that was like the last time it was published. The Apocrypha was part of the Bible. But it's neither here nor there. The point being that what's happening and why I'm encouraging you guys to read the Bible is because I know a lot of people feel empty on the inside. Like that's why they decide, oh, I don't feel comfortable with my gender. Oh, I don't feel like I'm welcome anywhere. Oh, I need to join this group of socialists, or oh, I need to join these alphabet people because they're the only ones who are accepting of me. Okay? That's not true. You need to turn to the Lord our Father and accept him into your heart. That is the void. That's why you join all these groups and you still don't feel fulfilled. You still don't feel fulfilled because it's the absence of the presence of the Father in your soul, in your heart. Welcome him inside you. Pause. I know that sounded a little bit dirty, but you get the idea in the context, okay? Because we're existing in the context right now. And it's real. But people, we can't, they're trying to make it so we can't talk about Christianity with this Prop 1. You know, but you can talk about Islam all you want. You can talk about Judaism all you want. But if somebody gets offended because you said something about the Christian Lord, okay, it's a problem. It's this whole problem. And that's a big issue. Because that's not freedom of speech. That's not freedom of religion. And we need to have that conversation. But again, they don't want you to have that conversation. One day I'm going to go through a show and just going to talk about all of the Bill of Rights, all 10, each one, and just run down on them and how they're trying to eliminate each single one of them. Because that's what it is. That's exactly what they're doing. Speedy trial, where's that at? Okay? We got people sitting in jail for so long, it's crazy. Okay? And I'm a lock them up person. That's who I am. Lock them all up. Lock all the criminals up, okay? That's who I am. So when I tell you that they're not getting a fair and speedy trial, that means a lot. That is a big, serious statement. They're not getting their, I don't care whether I agree with somebody or don't agree with somebody. As Thomas Paine said, I will fight for somebody's rights and freedoms as much as I would fight for my own, even if I don't agree with them. But in America right now, that has been lost. And other people don't care about your rights and freedoms. They care about them being so right and so righteous. That's why we must stand up. We must stand up and we must speak up. For me right now, I look at it as though we need an American revival, a return to our traditional roots, to our traditional values, a return to our Constitution, our founding documents. That's what we need a return to. We need an American revival because right now we have gone so far from the course of our nation. The globalists are taking over everything and they're convincing you that it's okay. And it's serious. I'm going to encourage you guys to drink water. I'm going to drink some water right now. Stay hydrated. It's hot out there. Water is important. Okay. It's 85 degrees here where I am, and they forgot. They forgot to turn on the air conditioner. Maybe you want to sleep. But what we got, what we got here is a failure to communicate. And I laugh about it, but it's very direly serious. What we're experiencing right now is a loss of communication on the level of interpersonal communication and on the level of government. They don't want you to have a communication with your government. I call my state assembly person right now. This is one of the reasons why I'm running against him right now. Okay, and I encourage you, donate, volunteer, whether you're local or whether you're not local, you can still donate to my website, www.marcus4rochester.com. That's Marcus4rochester.com. But this is one of the reasons why I'm running against my opponent, Demond Meeks, right now, because very simply, if I call him, I want to talk to him. I love his legislative aid. They're okay. I love everybody else in his office. They're okay. But I don't want to talk to them. They're not my elected representative. He is. So if I call and I got questions about a ballot initiative, or if I got questions about a bill and I call, I want to talk to him about it. I don't want to talk to them. He's my elected official, not those people. Those people are paid to be there. I want to talk to him. I want to talk to him. I want to talk to nobody else. You can't make me talk to nobody else. You can't deny me the right to talk to my elected official. Are you serious? Then when you talk to these people, legislative assistants and all, they don't even know what's going on with the laws. They don't know. I'd be like, did you read such and such law? No. But your homeboy is a signatory on it. He's a co-sponsor. You ain't read the daggone law? What's going on here? They don't know. He don't know. His name on the daggone thing. What are we doing here? What are we doing here? How these people signing and voting on things that they ain't never read and they ain't never even see. It's not like it's the federal government and they got like 400 or 500 pages. Some of these bills do be a little long. They be like 20 pages long sometimes, but usually it's a lot of repetitious text, okay, and some legalese. But they should be reading these bills. You're getting paid to read these bills, to vote on these bills, to propose bills for your best of your constituency. What is going on? My computer. Listen, let me tell you about the district that I live in, and this is why it's so important to me. We got the most drug overdoses and the most violent crime in the whole county. We got the most drug overdoses and the most violent crime outside of New York City. Outside of New York City. And then if you do it per capita, we're right up there with them. That's crazy. That's crazy. And that's in my district. What has my elected official been doing? Okay, for the last 4 years they've been in office. It's gotten worse, not better. Explain it to me. And that's not even talking about how the costs have skyrocketed to live. Food's up, gas is up, electricity is up, the natural gas is up, school costs are up, for school supplies are up, everything's up, taxes, everything. Shoot, soon the cost of water is going up. Everything's going up and up and up and up. You try to go to the store and buy some clothes lately, up. You try to buy some pairs of socks, man. I went to go buy a pair of socks the other day, bro. I went to like Walmart or somewhere. They're like 10 pairs of socks, like $20. What? I'm like, man, I knew I hadn't bought socks in a while because I have a lot of socks. But at $20? $20 for a pack of socks? That's what we're doing now. And look, that was like the lesser kind. That was like ankle high socks. And I'm a full length sock guy. What do you call them? Crew cut or whatever the case is. Okay, crew socks. I'm a crew sock person. Okay, I'm like, man, like they done cut off half the sock and they charging me double the price. It's crazy. It's crazy. The cost on you go buy a bag of t-shirts, right? Like not even t-shirts to print anything on, just like a basic bag of t-shirts. It'll be like 5 t-shirts. Look, 5 t-shirts, 10 microns thin. Okay, you can blow and the whole shirt starts to unravel. Okay, $30. What is going on? It's disgusting, people. But if we're not holding our elected officials accountable, if we're not getting involved with our elected officials, we're not going to be able to voice our issues. And then they got all these ridiculous advocacy groups and special interest groups that promote all of this stuff because it sounds good, and they done grab like 10 people that ain't got no job that are all gun-ho about it because it sounds good, because they told that they were good, and because it emotionally resonates with them. But then they implement it, and it's horrible for the rest of the community. The best 2 examples I can give you are bill reform and raise the age laws. And don't get me start talking about this ridiculous new green nonsense and environmental impact, climate justice nonsense. And I'm an environmental conservationist. Don't get it twisted. I care about the environment more than any of these fools out here. Okay? But the fact of the matter is that a lot of these bills that call themselves environment this, green that, are not that. They're funneling monies into these private companies and these private interests, which are driving up the prices of your gas and your electricity. That's why your gas bill and your electricity bill is so high right now. Don't let them play in your face while they authorizing the shutdown of refineries and not authorizing new refineries to be built. And that's coming from me, and I'm not a fan of fracking either. Okay? But natural gas is a great resource. I don't know how old you are that's listening, but you'll remember that not even 5 years ago, natural gas was a big, giant thing. You know, it burns clean. Well, it burns clean. Why all of a sudden we're trying to get rid of natural gas? You understand what I'm saying? It's a plentiful natural resource. It's a plentiful natural resource. Why are you trying to get rid of it? We got this eternal flame up here in New York State, not far from where I am. I want to say Is that one in Litchfield, or is it? I don't know what. No, the other park. I can't remember the name of it. It's closer than Litchfield. It doesn't matter what park it's at, but we got this eternal flame that's been going for like 150 years or something like that. It's some natural gas deposit that got lit underneath this waterfall, and it's been going for like 150 years. You understand what I'm saying? Like, natural gas is a good resource for us. Plus, we live in a cold weather climate. You know, we ain't got all the electricity in the world. You know how much electricity the air conditioners run? Imagine how much if everybody got to have an electric heater. Come on now, stop playing with it. Come on. And I don't know if you've ever had electric heat, like baseboard heaters or even the electric heaters that you plug in the wall. It never quite seems to be warm enough. And most of the housing stock that we have here in Western New York is old housing stock. We're talking turn of the century, not the turn of this century. We're talking about the turn of the 1900s. Okay, like the house that I live in, I think the house I live in is 1898. Okay, is the house I live in. The next four houses next to mine are like 1910 and 1898 and stuff like that. That's a lot of these houses up here. But most of these houses you see up here were built in the 1930s and stuff like that. We got houses up here still with rat tail wires. If you're not sure what rat tail wires are, go look it up. Okay, it's this old type of wiring that's crazy. Okay, we still got it like in my house. It's all horsehair and plaster. Like, Marcus, what's horsehair and plaster? Go look it up. That's how old it is. That's what I'm trying to tell you. Okay, it's really real. And they're telling you, oh no natural gas. Let me explain something to you. We have a history in New York State of people freezing to death because they don't have adequate heating. Freezing to death. And I'm not talking about back in the 1950s or the 1960s. I'm talking about over the winter. I'm talking about we had a snowstorm in Buffalo last year, or maybe it was a year before. And we had a snowstorm and people were freezing to death in their homes. Hello, because the power got knocked out and they didn't have natural gas. Wait, what? The power got knocked out? Let me get real close to the microphone so you can hear me good. The power got knocked out and they didn't have access to natural gas, so they froze to death right here in Buffalo. Can we talk about it, though? Makes me want to spit. But this is the stuff that we're experiencing every day on a daily basis. And we can't have these very serious conversations that are needed, that are necessary, because they don't want you to talk about it. But back to Prop 1, before I get ready to close, make sure that you like, share, and subscribe to this show. If you're online watching right now, don't hesitate. Share it now. Share now. Subscribe. Make sure you like. Tell other friends about it. And if you're listening to us on the radio, make sure you tune in every Monday from 2:30 to 4 p.m. on WRFZ 106.3 Rochester Free Radio to Dubai with Marcus C. Williams. We are here giving you all the good information in your ear. All right. So as we continue with the show here, I wanted to touch on a couple of things. And I encourage you, if you follow me, if you don't follow me on other social media, I also do a podcast on Sunday. It's called The Elephant in the Room with Marcus C. Williams. You can find that. Just search that. You'll find it on YouTube, Facebook, all of that. X, it's on all of it. Okay, you'll find it. But check that show out because we do interviews and stuff with other people on that show. And we talk more seriously about certain issues and more seriously about a lot of political things and things that'll make you go, and think. Similar to what we do on this show, but more with a little bit of a different focus and also with more guests. So right now, share it. Share the show. That's what I'm asking of. But as we continue forward, vote no on Prop 1 this year when it comes up. Vote no, vote no, vote no. And if you want to find out more information about it, go check out protectkidsny.com. That's protectkidsny.com. And they've got a lot of good resources and information on it. And if you want to set up a time where they can come out to your church or your synagogue or your, I don't know, maybe you play dominoes or backgammon on the weekend, you want them to come speak at your group there or give you information to share with them, they'll definitely give you the right information to share so that people can get more aware of what's going on, because this is crazy. And if this proposition passes and it comes to be a constitutional amendment, we can pack it up, y'all. We can pack it up. But the problem with packing it up is there ain't nowhere to go. We can't leave here. The fight is here in New York. Look at what happened in California. That spread like a cancer. all through the West Coast. All the West Coast is like California now. Colorado,
Washington, New Mexico, all of it, all of it. Nevada, I don't know if I said Nevada, and even parts of Texas, Houston, okay? And the East Coast on New York is spreading to the other states. Maine, okay? New Hampshire got a little bit of stuff going on there. They all right, but they ain't good. They ain't in bad shape getting there quick, okay? It's spreading to Massachusetts. Massachusetts is pretty bad too. Okay, they got
we don't spread Tennessee. That goes on. Okay, I was talking to a friend out there the other day. She's like, y'all not even welcome down here. I was like, oh, that's cold. I was like, that's cold. How you gonna do us like that? You know, but that it goes to show how the influence is traveling and it's growing and growing the rest of our nation. There is nowhere to run. Here is where to fight. Don't talk about now. Let's buy time. Okay, not forming a cavalry and come back and save nobody. Don't play in my face. We are the only people that are here that are saying anything. It's us that stand up now. It's not later. I was looking online though, a little meme online. Today, not tomorrow, today. And I laugh, but it's serious. Today, not tomorrow. Tomorrow's not promised. We don't know how many tomorrows we got left. And if something like this gets across the line, if we don't get enough people in office this year, Lord, Lord, Lord knows. Lord knows better than I do what's going to happen. But I couldn't imagine that it's good. And as the Lord said goes, so goes the rest of the country. And y'all already know that. Now, I know my friends that y'all are listening to Texas and Florida right now. Y'all already know. Y'all already know. You see it happen. Don't tell me you don't. I know you know. So it's time for us to stand up, and I hope you support us and our influence and try to fight back. And if you guys would like to sponsor this show, put a couple of ducats in the bucket. Give me an email, Marcus Williams at outlook.com. Marcus Williams at outlook.com. Even if you want to come down, that's Marcus at outlook.com. And if you really appreciate what I'm doing and fighting on me, trying to fight for my locality here, even though I'm running for state level all in New York, donate to my team, www.marcus.rochester.com, rochester.com. Now, these are my tools. It is time for us as individuals to stand up and take action. If you want a restoration of America, if you want a revival of America, if you want to restore America to our traditional constitutional values, it is up to every single one of us. No one is coming to save us. No man is coming down now to save us. Next person like that's going to come. It's going to be the Antichrist. Okay? We already know what he is. So it's up to us. Stand and occupy. We must stand. We must fight back, and we must speak up. We must speak up before they silence us all. And they will at some point. That's why it's so important that we stand up now. We stand up now. We must fight back somehow. And it starts being vocal. Be more vocal. And if you're one of those people like I did, share the show. Share the show. Share my other stuff. My other stuff. If you follow me on other platforms, share it. Help get the word out. Maybe my stuff encourage other people to get more out. Maybe encourage other people to stand up. But that's what we need now. More than ever. See a great silence that is pervade congregation where good people will not speak up against evil. We see a great silence where the church, the Christian church, will not speak up against evil. Where the Catholic church will not speak up against evil. And when a pastor or a bishop or a father does, then they're ridiculed, mocked, and sometimes especially in the Catholic faith, they're excommunicated, like we've seen, like 3 or 4 different bishops, cardinals this year happened. It's ridiculous because they decided the truth. We saw the Orthodox bishop Marmar Emmanuel. They attacked him in the church, preaching the gospel. And that man, if you don't know who Bishop Marmar Emmanuel is, go look him up, please. That man is the most truest of Christians that could be a Christian. Okay, and I consider myself pretty Christian. I can't be like him, man. God bless him. Okay, they done stabbed that man up in church, and this man told them not to kill that man. Okay, and he prayed for that man that stabbed him up after they did it, and he protected him in the church so that the angry mob that was out there that wanted to tear that man limb from limb couldn't get it. If it was me, I would let them have that. Okay, hey, to each their own. He's trying to use his ministry of promoting that he was more than willing to sacrifice himself to get the message out. Okay, and I believe firmly that we are supposed to fight back as Christians. Both are two sides of the same coin and two sides of the same message in Christianity. It's just that each person has their own different message to share with the world. That man is some of the strongest among us and the best among us. I encourage you to look up Bishop Marmar Emanuel. But we as Christians need to stay strong. We as Americans, even if you're not a Christian, even if you're a Muslim or you consider yourself non-denominational or you consider yourself an atheist or whatever the case, if you identify as an American citizen, you should be believing in the Constitution and you should be willing to stand up for our Constitution, not just on a religious basis, but on the basis that is the foundation of our freedoms in this country that so many other countries do not have. Honestly, all of the other countries do not have the freedoms that we have here. And that's why we must fight. That's why we must stand up. And that's why I do my best to encourage you guys every week. Make sure you tune into the show next Monday, 2:30 to 4 p.m. on WRFZ 106.3. Like and share if you're watching online on the Marcus C. Williams channel on YouTube, or if you're following me on Facebook or X or wherever you are, Rumble, what have you, share it out. And make sure that you also check out my show, The Elephant in the Room with Marcus C. Williams. It's a podcast that I do every Sunday, 6:30 to 7:30. Check that out. You can search that online. You'll find it. You guys, remember, stand up, speak up, and don't shut up. Take action. Be blessed and be well. I'll catch you guys later. All right, guys. I'll catch you guys later. I'll see you later.